Hi, readers. It's Phil Swanson again, and I'm here today with Stefan Crown, lead creative technologist at CloudRaker. And we're here to talk about a program you developed called Nabit. Stefan, can you just explain to our readers what exactly Nabit does?
Well, basically, it takes action sequence shots. It's the shots you see in magazines, so it really isolates every movement you can have in a picture. So let's say you see someone doing a backflip in snowboards, it will take 5 shots of the person doing his backflip, and then it will compose it in a completed sequence. So this way you really see the whole movement in just a single picture. So it makes it pretty easy. So it takes about like 30 seconds. You should have a completed sequence shot that you can share or just save and that you can show to your friends.
Yeah, I got to play around with it a little bit, and it's extremely intuitive, easy to use, and straightforward. I have a lot of experience with video editing and Photoshop and things like that, and doing exactly what this program does by hand in Photoshop and some other programs can be very tedious. And for you to accomplish this, with an iPhone 4, iPad 2, with the iOS platform. It's a testament to kind of your coding ability, I would assume. What was your inspiration for it?
Well, basically, it all started. We had a client contacted us back in, I think, in January 2011. They wanted an iPhone app, so we pitched them an idea, which wasn't told anything related to Nabit. And then they came back to us. They wanted more social in it. They wanted it to be more, to push people to share more. So we came back, like we trashed the previous idea, and we came back with Nabit, basically. Sadly, they didn't go with it because they didn't have the budget, and it was like we didn't want to let the idea go, and so it became it always has been our property, but we decided to build it on our own after all because we believed in the idea so much that we had to build it ourselves. So that's how it all started. And then the fun thing is that I never coded iPhone before. I literally learned iOS, Objective-C in January. And then Nabit is like my learning ground. I've learned everything with Nabit. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty challenging at times because all these things, memory management, all these things that I never had to experience with before can be a pain sometimes. But I love it, and it's fun to play with.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you hadn't coded, for the iOS platform before. Was that as daunting a task as you thought it'd be when you first started, or has it been a pretty smooth learning process?
Well, we had. You'll have a small hint. We wanted to automate it at first, like do the full process automatically. So first thing I had to learn was how to recognize moving objects and images. So I didn't learn iPhone first. I learned OpenCV, which is a C library. So that's where I got my hands in C, and then I tried to port that to iPhone, but we realized that it wasn't the 3GS wasn't good enough to be able to perform the sequences fast enough. So we had to revert back to a manual mode. So now that's really when I started learning iPhone, like all the touch actions, all the tab use controller, all these stuff. That's really when I started learning it. It was fairly hard because I never saw it before, but I got the grasp of it pretty quickly. And now I can say that when I go back to JavaScript or HTML or CSS, I love the languages less and less and less because OpenCV makes it, not OpenCV, but Objective-C makes it so much easier. It's such a verbose language. Everything is so well defined in Objective-C that it's so much easier for you to develop and once you have the basics set up.
Okay, yeah, I understand what you're coming from there. Now, as far as Nabit, where's the future of Nabit going? You obviously you can take these photos, share them with friends, and things like that. What are you guys trying to do with the future of the program?
Well, initially we wanted to sell it to make some money off of it, so we started selling it. I think it was $2, $1.99. It didn't live very well, so we decided to go free, and that's when we started getting a lot of traction. So for the close future, what we want to do is like bring in in-app purchases to be able to rentabilize to make money off of the product. And we have two or three key features we want to bring in. And the first one is being able to edit your shots later. So you could take your whole sequence and then whenever you have time, you're sitting on your couch or whatever, you can go back and edit them and then do your sequence. Second thing we want to do is bring back the automation. So we'll start working on that, and because it's really, I think it's one of the killer features we could have. Like if everything can be automated, that would be heaven for me.
Yeah,
but that's quite challenging. So
yeah, it'd be just touch and go instead of having to highlight each frame. You just let the person go across the screen, and all of a sudden you produce those series of shots. It'd be almost too easy for everybody.
Well, exactly. But the big challenge is if let's say you're, I don't know, surfing, and between the two shots, waves move, so it could be identified as moving subjects. So that's where we have to really play with it, because we don't want to identify moving stuff that's not really the subject you want to target. So that's where the hardest part is. And then as a third feature, we might want to bring in is an eraser. If we don't do the automated sequence, like right now, you can double tap to erase your mask. But sometimes you just want to, remove just a small part of a mask, so an eraser would be pretty useful for that. So that's the third feature we want to bring in.
Okay. Now, obviously, Mob My Eye, we're iPad, iPod Touch, iOS jailbreak website.
Yeah, I know.
No, I understand. I was just wondering, as far as, do you have any of your iDevices jailbroken, any city programs? You running anything?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I was saying, are you running any jailbreak programs on any of your iDevices? Any of your iPhones, iPod Touch, anything jailbroken or no?
I was jailbroken before, but as soon as I started developing for it, I didn't want to try to mess with that, because I know Apple can be a pain sometimes, so I wanted to be as legit as possible. So we don't have any, well, actually one guy here has a jailbroken device, but I don't play with it enough to know everything. I know it unlocks a lot of things, but I don't play with it enough to know all the possibilities in there.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I understand where you're coming from as far as being legit. You have stuff in the app store. You don't want Apple to come knocking on the door.
Well, it seems so easy for an app to get rejected that I didn't want to take any chance. I mean, I started with a clean computer even just to make sure they didn't have traces of me having jailbroken a phone. Or you never know. You really never know.
What else? You said this is the first iOS device you've ever developed for CloudRaker. Anything else that you're developing on the horizon, or is it just kind of focusing on Nabit, or anything you got coming up the pipeline?
Well, CloudRaker is an advertising agency, so we do stuff for clients usually. And this project was kind of a one-off project. I mean, it got great success so far, so we might do more in the future. But we don't have any other proprietary apps that we plan on launching soon. It's mainly stuff we do for clients. So, I mean, I put a lot of time in there, but we also have to work for the people that pay us. So.
Oh, of course. I understand that completely. Anything else you want to say? It's been a great interview. I really appreciate your time. Anything else you want to say about CloudRaker or Nabit?
I love Cloud. I love Nabit. And if anyone has any ideas, any feature, or they want to do, like if they have any feedback to the app, don't hesitate. We're really, really, really open to anything people have to say about it, even if it's bad.
No,
because we got a lot of bad stuff at the beginning, but we fixed that.
Yeah, I noticed some of the comments said people like, oh, I wasn't going to download it. I checked back, and lo and behold, you had released an update in September, and it was.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, you're coming from a video background and video editing, photoshopping, all that stuff. But for someone who doesn't get it, it's a bit harder to understand. So it's a challenge for us. We need to have a solid guide, and to make sure users understand when they use the app. So that's a challenge for us. I mean, coding is one thing, you control it, but you don't control what the users think. So it's harder.
All right, definitely. The user experiences, especially in the touch devices.
Yeah, it's tricky, and it's the first time we play with it, so it's a lot of trial and errors. But we really want to learn, and we want to improve with that. So,
all right. Well, again, thank you for your time. This is Stéphane Caron with CloudRaker, and he's the developer creator of Nabit. And it's Phil Swans with MMI signing off. Thanks again.
Thank you, man.